almost touched. There's three truck battles for the lead as they come up on a couple lap trucks.
Pearce is definitely not going to let him in. He'll get Pearce with the second. He's going to take him 3 wide down to the line.
DeRuise tries to throw a block.
DeRuise quick. And here comes Chris Smith off turn number 4. Wesley Bristol might have a shot at the win here. Here they come to the line.
Oh, he gets the back.
And Pistol.
Bounce back on the back bumper of James Ray there. Desperate for a win. Desperate to get back into the championship.
Oh, he gives him the bumper.
Evan Pietz is going to come through to win it. Coots hanging tough. Oh, Jones is loose. He's going to drive up into him. Can Coots hang on to it off the corner? Coots gets it. If it's Tuesday, that means Apex Energy Series Racing from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth tonight by Chris Smith. We are bringing you live racing action in the Xfinity B-Class car from Bristol Motor Speedway, Thunder Valley for the Pearce Graphics Night Race. Nestled amidst the picturesque mountains of northeast Tennessee, Bristol Motor Speedway is a legendary half-mile facility that has become synonymous with thrilling and heart-pounding finishes, particularly during its iconic event known as America's Night Race. Since its inauguration in 1961, Bristol's reputation has only grown, and the introduction of the night race in 1978 added a whole new dimension to the track's allure. One of Bristol's defining characteristics is its unique track layout featuring an aggressive 24 to 28 degrees of banking of concrete in its corners. The steep turns turned the track into a coliseum where drivers battled gravity and each other, leaving no room for the faint of heart, while creating ample opportunities for both daring maneuvers and costly mistakes. One unforgettable moment in Bristol's history happened in 1995 when Terry Labonte emerged victorious despite a fierce challenge from Dale Earnhardt. The term chrome horn came to life as Earnhardt aggressively attempted to dislodge Labonte from the lead, leading to a dramatic and unforgettable finish. Chris, we often refer to Bristol as the last great Coliseum. These drivers are going to have to put on their gladiator helmets tonight for 200 laps if they want to make it to victory lane at the end. What are these 30-plus drivers going to have to do tonight if they are to vanquish the toughest opponents on the racetrack tonight?
Well, it's going to be one of the toughest challenges that they've had all season. These Xfinity cars around this track are a handful. A lot of the drivers participated in a little bit of a practice race on Sunday night, and it was difficult. Expect some loose conditions, some very, very close racing, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we possibly see some tempers flare tonight. Bristol always brings out the best action, and it can sometimes bring out the worst in drivers, and so I'll be looking for that, and I'll be looking to see some really close action all night long.
Yeah, Chris, neither one of us have ever had our tempers kind of light up at Bristol, right? No, neither one of us.
Never happened.
Speaking of tempers, we're going to keep that in mind when we cover some stories to set the race up for all the viewers tonight. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Don, welcome back. We're glad to see you tonight in the chat. Twisted Logic, Speed Strat, we appreciate both of y'all in the chat. If you're watching right now on YouTube or Twitch, go ahead and say hi in the chat. We'll talk about how that can benefit you later on. But before qualifying starts, we're going to hit up our pre-race tradition here at Slingshot Racing by playing the national anthem. We'll come back on the other end of that to set up the race. All right, we are back at Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway, getting ready for the Pearce Graphics night race at Bristol here shortly. Qualifying getting ready to be underway. Actually underway now as we watch Justin Wilson roll around the track for his 2 laps. We're going to set up the race with some stories tonight, some pre-race stories to watch. So if you are watching, you can kind of follow along for fun. Key stories to follow. First of all, Chris, you mentioned anger management in the opening. We mentioned that, we even, as nice a guys as we have been, have had our own moments at Bristol. I think I'll admit it now, hopefully he won't be mad, but I think I actually once intentionally put Rye Jones in the wall in a race a couple of years ago. So if he's watching this, I'm sorry for that, but not sorry. We're good friends now. So anger management, Chris, is going to be something that drivers really have to keep an eye on because it's easy to lose your cool, and it's a long race. So you don't want to take a guy out and then have that guy come back later on and regret that decision when they take you out the same way. So also, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, absolutely. Yeah, you got to keep your emotions in check. You cannot let, you can't let the moment sort of, dictate the rest of your race. You see concrete surface right there. That's something that is very different about this track compared to other tracks, specifically how this track takes rubber. I'm going to be honest with you, Ellis. When I'm out there racing, especially as fast as things happen here, I don't really pay too much attention to that. It's just a surface to me once I get out there.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about that surface all night long. Loose conditions. We'll cover lap traffic in a second, but while we're on that topic of surface, very loose conditions in the practice race, Chris, I know you participated in. A lot of drivers were loose on the bottom. We mentioned that there's a very thin threshold where if you cross it, you're out of control and it's hard to do anything about that. What was your experience on Sunday evening?
It's just very edgy. It's just so easy to jump over the edge accidentally. Not even to feel like you're pushing it. Maybe if you push it like slightly harder one lap, it's just you're suddenly over the edge. And with as fast as this track is, as quickly as you're going around this half-mile track, it's really, really, really hard to save it once it does get just slightly loose on you, especially with these cars, which have less downforce than the trucks and even the next-gen Cup cars.
Yeah, so definitely a big challenge our drivers are going to be facing tonight with these loose conditions. Lap traffic, Chris, this is a short track, and we've talked about we might have the need, if we have a couple cautions fall a little bit too close to each other, we have given permission for our race director, Sam Maxwell, to go ahead and make the restart single file. That is going to put a lot of cars very close to going a lap down with a 40-plus car field. And leaders are going to run into these lap cars pretty early. How treacherous is it going to be for drivers to get by?
It's going to be really, really difficult, and you're just going to have to be patient. Lap traffic is going to hold you up here tonight. It's just one of the realities that you have to accept, and you can't let your emotions, we come back to emotions, you can't let them get the better of you. And, at some point tonight, I imagine we'll see a guy that is on the lead lap get held up by somebody who is a lap down, or possibly even wrecked by somebody who's a lap down. It's really, really, really difficult to miss wrecks here because of how fast things happen and how high the banks are. It's just really, really easy to drive into a wreck and make one crash or a couple cars involved in a crash turn into a much bigger crash.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. And any crash that happens on the track is likely to have implications when it comes to the championship battle. Only 2 races in, and only 12 points separate the top 6. We've got a very tight championship points battle. We're going to pull that graphic up right now for viewers to see, but you can see even between the top 10, only 20 points separate points leader Steve Karosik in 10th place. Stephen McDonald coming off a 4th place finish last week at Auto Club. Randy Bechtel has had several good runs. Daniel Rowe has put together a pretty consistent start to the season. Any surprises up here, Chris, so far?
I wouldn't say any surprises, really. Chris Blassie's having a really good start, very consistent start to the season right there. He's in 7th spot. Seen a lot of improvement out of him this season. I'm seeing a lot of drivers right here who have been, trying to keep their nose clean all season, try to stay out of trouble. And, Stephen Karosik ran into some trouble a little bit last week at Auto Club, but he did rebound to salvage a decent finish. And, if you're going to contend for a championship, that's what you got to do. Yep,
those are going to be the efforts late in the season that are going to play a difference. And speaking of Steve Karosik, I'm looking in the qualifying order, and I'm not sure I see Steve very close up to the front. I'd have to look see if where he is starting tonight, see if he made a qualifying effort. We'll find him in the starting order here, but let's go ahead and get to that starting lineup for the Pearce Graphics night race here at Bristol.
You're going to have to go all the way to 22nd to find Steve Caruso.
Oh, you found him. It's like a little word hunt. But on the pole, on the Evan Pienta Designs Pole Award, Jacob Bradley backing up his Daytona win earlier in the season with a pole effort here. Justin Wilson, his Payday Racing teammate, starting second. Evan Pienta starting third. Johnny Rapp starting fourth. I know, I think Johnny Rapp's dad is watching on YouTube. Shout out to him. James Ledford in that 48 car starting fifth. Patrick Piper in the 38 starting sixth. James Suggs in that yellow and white Woo Woo Garage car starting in the seventh slot. Randy Bechtel sliding in eighth position with a respectable qualifying lap in the 51. Scotty Sobczak, familiar sponsor, different paint scheme tonight for the driver, that number 81. Normally black and blue, white and blue. It's tonight black and blue, kind of a reverse night scheme race. Tony Hilbrun's also in a black and blue car, starting 10th in the 92. Don, I know Tony's mom is watching. Patrick Colby starting 11th. Jacob Chase in that 43 starting 12th. Steve Ulrich starting 13th in the 77. Rye Jones, we're going to hear from Rye later on in the race. He's the driver of the race starting in the 14th spot. Wesley Pistol in the Tennessee colors here, ironically, at Bristol. A huge Tennessee fan. Wesley Pistol starting 15th. Josh Ward starting 16th. Zachary Lima starting 17th. Ryan Hinkle 18th. Daniel Berg 19th. Brandon Waldrop in the number 50 starting 20th. Chris Pearce in that Apex Energy car starting 21st. Steve Karosik, you mentioned, our points leader, starting way back in 22nd. He'll have a hard road ahead of him tonight. Tony Caputo, 23rd. Steve McDonald, 24th. Eric Wright, 25th. 26th is Rowe. 27th is Jeremy Gardner. 28th is Scott Tompkins. The rest of the lineup is going to scroll across the screen as we gear up here for the start of this race. Justin Wilson on the outside. Jacob Bradley is your pole sitter. About a half a lap before the start here, Chris. Are you nervous if you are sitting about 8th, 9th, 10th in the field right now?
Definitely. No, not making any bones about it. Yeah, I would be very, very nervous.
All right, pace car peels off. Driver's nerves are at a high right now. Green flag's going to unleash the field here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Apex Energy Series racing is live. Bradley gets a good start. Single car on the inside. Bradley is the clear leader looking through the field. Top 6 or 7 is single file. Double file racing starts back in about 8th position with Tony Hilbrun's and James Suggs. Right now, one lap is complete. No caution yet.
Yeah, these guys right now just taking it real easy. Everybody giving each other a lot of room. Liking what I'm seeing right now.
Absolutely. Don't speak too soon. We can say these things with optimism, but I still get nervous watching these guys. We know the threshold here is really low. Looking at a tight battle here back in about the 11th, 12th, 13th place. Watching James Suggs, Scotty Sobczak, Rye Jones, Patrick Colby, the 43 of Jacob Chase as well. Tight racing, close racing. Chris, is there an early advantage in terms of speed between the inside line and the high side running around the top of the track?
Right now, if you're on the bottom, the chances of you missing the wreck, I think, are a little bit higher because you have options to go somewhere. But it's super loose down there on these cold tires. So I like being able to roll the bottom because I know that's probably how I'm going to have to pass somebody. If I'm in the race right now, I want to try to make sure that I'm comfortable running the bottom on cold tires or on worn tires.
All right, so, hey, one battle I would like to kind of focus on back here in the, I had it in my head just a second ago, Steve Ulrich in that number 77 in the 15th spot. Racing with Josh Ward on the outside, Zachary Lima on his outside.
He's loose.
As soon as
He's
I
spinning.
say that, hang on to it, Steve. Ryan Hinkle's going to get him a little bit. Steve Ulrich probably going to walk away from that. Okay, we got another car piling into it. That looks like the 0-2 of Clint Walker. Caution is out as we watch the 0-2 pullback up on the track. And man, Chris, I am afraid to talk about drivers. I am the ultimate jinx. it seems, but I think we might have gotten away with one there. I know the 19 of Ryan Hinkle is probably going to disagree a little bit, but we watched Ulrich get loose on the inside to bring out that caution on lap number 9, and I don't think he had any help, Chris. This was just this tight threshold as we watch him go around right in front of Hinkle. That tight threshold of if you make one mistake, if you go over the line just a little bit, it's going to be enough to send it around. It's going to be hard to correct.
Yeah, I'm going to put that one on you.
I will definitely. Do I get a penalty point for that?
Yeah, you get a penalty point.
I think I earned it. Sorry about that, Steve, or Steve's fans watching the chat. Don says no jinxing here. I appreciate the vote of confidence, Don. Appreciate that. As we watch that replay here on lap number 10. Chris, I don't think we are going to have any drivers take to pit road this time. I think this is a great opportunity to talk about Pearce Graphics, the sponsor of tonight's race. Everything you're seeing on the screen right now, whether it's that awesome, unique-looking ticker on the right, whether it's the bottom bar on the bottom of the screen, everything you're seeing is produced by Christopher Pearce at Pearce Graphics. He's done our graphics since we've been doing Slingshot Racing TV. And again, Chris does a phenomenal job. He has worked with us, listened to every single ridiculous request we've made. He racing the Sim Racing Concepts car right now. He even drove our sponsor's car for us because we asked him to. What a nice guy.
Yeah, such a nice guy.
Didn't even put Pearce Graphics. We figured we'd throw him a bone and give him this sponsorship of this race because honestly, we probably owe him more than that. But really awesome. Hey, can you pull up the overlay real quick of the onboard? I know it's not live racing, but I just think this is so cool. We'll probably feature it later on in the race. But you can see the amount of work and craftsmanship that went into his overlays here to custom design this around the cockpit of this specific car, giving us all sorts of data. Obviously, we don't see the roll speed difference between him and the driver in front of him, but still some pretty awesome telemetry that we can use and show you viewers a little bit more insight about what's going on with your favorite driver during the race. So thank you to Pearce Graphics, and yeah, check them out. Pearce Graphics on Instagram. They are linked in the show notes for the race as well. But right now, we are getting ready to go green again, and Christopher Pearce is going to be starting probably a little bit further back than he would like in the 17th or 16th spot. But right now, all eyes are on Jacob Bradley and Justin Wilson in the number 58 as the pace car heads through turn 4. They're going to peel off. They're going to hit the Geico restart zone, and Jacob Bradley is going to have the privilege of being the control car. He mashes the throttle. We're back underway. Yeah, a little bit of a stumble.
Yeah, a little bit of a sack up there on the inside. Some people on the bottom were trying to anticipate Jacob launching right there, and it went all the way back about 5 rows.
Absolutely. So you saw that outside kind of get a little bit bogged down. Everyone recovers. Really great job. We saw something similar happen last week at Auto Club with some guys on older tires start out front of the field, and we weren't as lucky on that restart with several cars getting damaged. I see a car going around on the back straightaway, but they've got it back together. I'm not sure who that was back there, but green flag is still out. Great save for whoever that was in back the 25th position or so as we watch Evan Pienta battle Justin Wilson right now for the second position. Evan Pienta getting really close to that back bumper of Justin Wilson. Probably getting a little bit of nervous energy if you're Justin Wilson watching that white and blue Evan Pienta Designs car creeping up in that rear view mirror as we also watch Randy Bechtel and a couple other cars, Patrick Piper, as well as Scotty Sobczak and Ryan Jones, right there back around the 6th, 7th, and 8th position right now. Great battles going on the track. Chris, what's the downside to running that outside line early in a run? What kind of impact does that have on tires?
You know, in my experience here, it just burns the tires up just a little bit faster. You've got a little bit higher roll speed right in the center of the corner. But I haven't run this car too much here lately, and one thing that was, you know, a big surprise to me was just how free the cars were running the bottom. You know, even a few laps into a run, you know, you would think, you know, after maybe 5 laps that would go away, but it's you're walking a tightrope, and so I think what you're seeing right now is that everybody's kind of on the bottom right there because they think that this is the best way to save tires. See Scotty Sobczak going up to the top. Scotty will... Oh, we got a car spun around. I think that was Paul Thomas in the 40.
Yep, let's see if we can get eyes on the scene of that crime.
I think that he towed, I think that Wesley Pistol maybe spun in the aftermath to possibly try to avoid, but he was quick to tow to try to avoid being hit. We'll see if we can go back and see what happened to the driver of the 40. It looks like he got loose and he was fighting it for a while. So this is on corner entry right here. Got down on the apron right there, and it snapped back around. He locked it down, and here comes the field, and he towed. Yeah, he tried to tow as quickly as he could to avoid being hit.
Yeah, so great job on Paul Thomas, the driver of the number 40, to kind of avoid calamity, making what could have been a really bad incident not as bad. Saving the field there. Wesley Pistol obviously locking up the brakes a little bit, but good job on all those drivers avoiding what could have been a really bad crash, and that's just heads-up thinking on Paul's part, right? We talk about you're on the edge here, and he tried to save it, got down to the apron, just overcorrected, something very easy to do, as we've seen before, and we'll probably see it again tonight, but does really heads-up thinking and tow him pretty quickly. I know he'll be bummed that his night is over early, but he'll probably feel okay about sparing other drivers from that. So right now, Justin Wilson, I'm looking at my running order here. For some reason, it gets a little wonky as these drivers cross through the line here.
Yeah, I think that they're on the 2 to go right here, and he is going to restart second behind Jacob
Bradley on the 60 is your leader here on lap number 23 of 200. Evan Pienta third. Johnny Rapp, I know we got some Rapp fans in the chat. He is in 4th place. Randy Bechtel is in 5th. Randy having a pretty good run after starting 8th. He's up 3 positions early on in the first 8th of this race. So if you're a Randy Bechtel fan, I think it's a pretty good night ahead of you right now based on some of the speed that we're seeing. He's running some of the fastest laps on track, just about 0.08 of a second off from the pace of the leader. So good night going for him.
He gets around here really well. He gets around this track really well, so I expect him to have a really good night tonight.
Chris, I vaguely remember a finish between you and Randy Bechtel that came down to the final few laps, and I believe you outdueled him in that 87 race just over a year ago at Bristol. So
yeah, but
he
was
got
a lot
some
faster.
fond memories here.
He was a lot faster than me.
Well, you held him off in the end, which is all that matters, and that's what drivers are going to be looking to do tonight as the pace car rolls around, Chris. And I think that did the lights come back on the pace car? I believe so. I believe we're going to be about a lap and a quarter away from the start. Hey, if you're watching right now, let us know who you are rooting for in the chat. Just type in the name of the driver that you think is going to win this race, the driver that you are rooting for. And I do want to mention, if you are the most active participant in the chat all season long, we're giving away a free tub of Apex Energy as the fan of the race. A Fan of the Season award will be awarded the final race of the season in December. Just let us know who you're pulling for in the chat. Show us some love. There's a Jeremy Gardner. I think he's rooting for himself, but hey, man, we're thinking about you, Jeremy. We're thinking about your kitty cat as well. So we appreciate you tuning in while you're driving. But hey, don't be focused too hard on the broadcast. Right now, drivers are going to be focusing really hard, though, as the pace car gets ready to peel off and restart this race. The Apex Energy Series about to be green flag racing once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Jacob Bradley mashes it down. We are green once again here after 2 cautions early on in the race. Justin Wilson the second, Evan Pienta separate themselves from Johnny Rapp and Scotty Sobczak back there in the 5th and 6th position with Randy Bechtel in tow. Several drivers up on the high line. Chris, seeing a real different approach between drivers tonight. I have seen drivers, even if they don't have someone to their inside, opting to go up there and run the outside. We did talk about the dangers of that early on in the race, so we'll see how those guys fare as we move on. Hey, I know Tony Hilbrun's has some fans in the chat, Chris. Tony Hilbrun starting 8th. Oh, we got a crash. I think we're going to save it. Drivers are going to get it back underway on the backstretch. I think that might have been Chris Pearce in the Sim Racing Concepts 65. Get the wall on the straightaway, but gather it back up and stay out of harm's way.
Yeah,
so great heads up thinking on a lot of drivers' part tonight, making what could have been really bad crashes, not a crash in this case. So great job for the driver of that number 65 Sim Racing Concepts car. Hate to see that for the SRC car early in the race, but hopefully he's able to rebound. Chris, Really looking forward to the short tracks this season. Not the night he's probably going to be hoping for, though.
No, unfortunately, his damage is pretty significant, and it's going to make that car really difficult to drive. I think that James Ledford in the 48, you can see the leaders going past him.
I saw him around as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage as well. So, one car having a little bit of trouble, and we didn't get a look at that, so I'm not sure who started that. But one car having trouble here can turn into several cars being collected very quickly. It's just one of those tracks where it's difficult to see and it's difficult to slow down. In fact, I completely ran over Chris Pearce in the practice race the other night because I just couldn't get slowed down in time. You're going so fast here and you can't see when you're down in the middle of the corner.
Absolutely. Visibility, definitely something these drivers are going to be grappling with, especially when they're close behind a car like you mentioned your incident on Sunday night, Chris. Right now, lots of fans popping off in the chat. AF Pops rooting for Justin Wilson, but he's also rooting for that number 33, and I believe I don't have my number chart right here. I think he is talking about Kyle Dewey. You might be able to correct me on that. I'm still learning numbers early on in the season. So we got a Kyle Dewey fan. He says, blood is thicker than water. So if someone tells me there he is. This is Big Dew, he says. I like it. I love it. Trey Tipton going for Chris Campbell in the chat. We got Jeremy Gardner as well. Don, I know, is rooting for Tony. Right now we got the camera focused on the 33 of Kyle Dewey rolling around in that gray and black machine. Doing a good job tonight. Right now, looking down in the running order, trying to find him.
It's in the 18th spot.
18th spot, yeah. Good job for Kyle Dewey running 18th right now. Having a pretty good run. Looking just through my information, Kyle Dewey is from Delaware. So, hey, a track that's not dissimilar from Bristol with Dover Down Speedway. So maybe he's familiar with that concrete, high banking style of track. He's definitely showing it right now. Also looking at the number 19 there as well. Looking at several other cars right now. Again, we've talked about the number 6, Steve McDonald, having a good run in that 6. He's coming off a 4th position finish at Auto Club Speedway, working his way up into the top 10 in points. You can see, Chris, what is that flame coming out of the tailpipe? I know what it is. I just want the viewers to know as these drivers head into each one of these steeply banked corners.
It's just a little bit of raw fuel. So when you see the flame come out of the tailpipe, that means that the driver is probably part throttle at that point. They're either letting off the gas or they are beginning to apply the throttle. That's what you're seeing right there. So it's a really good, visual to be able to see the driver's lift points and to see about what time they're, getting back into the throttle as well.
Absolutely. Great racing going on right now, and you do see those flames coming out of those tailpipes, kind of showing when those drivers are slowing down a little bit. Again, just looking through the field, Johnny Rapp, I know we got John Rapp watching the chat. You can kind of see him slid in behind Evan Pienta there in the number 55. Johnny Rapp, Chris, started off strong at Daytona, but really got involved early in a crash last week at Auto Club that probably has him in a position that we're not used to seeing Johnny. We've talked about Johnny being Mr. Consistency and staying out of trouble, but he's had some trouble early on this season. Right now, Johnny staying out of trouble for the most part. He right now is running in the 4th position, so that Mission Barbecue Dodge car, not a Dodge, I guess he's running a Chevrolet. He wishes it was a Dodge. Looking pretty good out there. Johnny, did Johnny run the practice race the other night, Chris? Do you remember?
He did. Yeah, he was out there, and there's a handful of drivers. I want to say this week we had more than we had last week, so it was a lot of fun. And any drivers who go back to watch the broadcast, we'd love to have you out there. Join us on Sunday nights, just to get some laps in, get some reps, see what the track conditions are going to be like.
Yeah, and right now I'm knocking on some wood at my desk, but I feel like we're seeing some dividends being paid from that practice race right now with only a handful of cautions in the first quarter of this race. Don Hilbrun's in the chat asked, what's the fuel mileage and tire wear? Fuel mileage is around 155 laps tonight, 155 laps. So we're looking at this, probably not going to have any green flag stops unless we get a really long green flag stretch here as we watch Josh Ward and Patrick Colby along with Jeremy Gardner running pretty tight quarters around each other. Tire degradation tonight, Don, is pretty difficult. These drivers are going to have to be careful not to wear those tires out too early in a run. That car is going to start pushing tremendously as we watch the leaders now creeping up through the lap traffic as we watch the several cars get put a lap down. This is treacherous territory, Chris. We talked about it in pre-race, and right now our leaders are having to contend with several lap cars. Jacob Bradley, 77 of Ulrich is around. He's in the wall. That is going to bring out I believe, the third caution of the night. We'll see if any other drivers are going to be involved. So Steve Ulrich 2 times around tonight.
He's got
I'm not sure.
This time.
Yeah, this is probably going to end his night pretty early. I'm not sure if anyone else got caught up in that. Hey, and Don, I'm pretty sure, just to answer your question, I think this allows drivers to make it the rest of the way. He just got up in that wall, up in the marbles up there a little bit, maybe followed the car in front of him up there just a bit.
Yeah, he got on the wall there. I don't know if there was possibly some net code there with the 81 of Scotty Sobczak. Maybe, possibly. And yeah, he got around. Oh, and it looks like the 5 turned the 57 around. That is something that is very easy to do here. Nothing intentional. It's just sometimes that happens here.
Absolutely. Things can happen very, very fast.
They recovered, though.
Right now. Yeah, recovered. And, hey, drivers are going to be looking for a very fast pit stop from their teams here tonight as we watch them come down the long, winding pit road. Jacob Bradley leading them down this single pit road that rolls around the entire track. He's going to be looking for a pit stop. And, Chris, we've talked about track position is really important tonight. You can make passes, but you really put yourself in a danger zone and create possible problems when you're trying to make those passes. So right now, all the leaders are going to pull into their stops to the attention of their crew here on lap 53 of 200 for the Apex Energy Series Pearce Designs night race at Bristol. Tires go up on those cars. Left sides are down, and the drivers are going to pull away, and it's almost like a synchronized performance there by the 60, the 58, the 55, and the 52, Chris. They dropped the jack all at the same time and rolled off in unison. It was a thing of beauty as they're going to roll up to the back of the pace car now, and you can see they're going around several cars. This speaks to, how many cars we have in this race with 41, but also speaks to the short nature of this track with several drivers being on the tail end of the lead lap after those pit stops.
Yeah, we also had several drivers actually stay out, elected not to pit. The top 6 right here. It looks like Scotty Sobczak, Tony Hilbrand, Josh Ward, Scott Tompkins, Kyle Dewey, and James Suggs all elected to stay out.
So your leader before that series of pit stops is going to be starting 7th. All of these other guys are going to be about 55 lap old tires. So we're going to see here a really sticky situation, I'd imagine, for several of these drivers as Jacob Bradley and the other leaders early in this race try to navigate their way around some of those cars that, don't get me wrong, have some speed tonight. We don't want to, these aren't cars that were running at the end of the field. They were running top 10, and they decided to make a gamble. Scotty Sobczak, Tony Hilbrand's going to stay out. And, Chris, Scotty Sobczak, the leader, chose the outside line, I believe, on this restart. So that's going to be an interesting choice to see how that works out for him.
I think you're going to see that all night. I think that the leader is going to take the top. Even if they've been running the bottom, you have just such a huge advantage here, launching off of turn 4 right there at that Geico restart zone, that I think you're going to see the leader take the top, even if they are, typically running the bottom.
Absolutely, and he'll look to gain that early advantage off of the corner. Right now, pace car getting ready to duck down to pit road. Scotty Sobczak on the outside. Away we go. Great jump on the field for the driver of the black and blue number 81. Hilbrand's on the inside. Single file now. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The first battle, Justin Wilson threads the needle back into 5th position, Chris. That was an aggressive move. Jacob Bradley looking to do the same thing underneath that yellow 20 car of James Suggs. And right now, Suggs gets into the number 33 of Kyle Dewey. He's going to hang on to it. We got a couple cars in the wall, Chris, and I know Dewey's got to be loose off of that corner, but really great job by several of these drivers showing patience, showing some discretion there, and cutting each other a break. Something we haven't seen a lot of this season was in full display there. So great job for these drivers about 7th, 8th, 9th position. Not to say that there might not be a wreck around the next corner, but that was a great miss.
Oh, man, Evan Pienta.
Really close.
Evan Pienta, I got to give him a lot of credit right here. He's being very patient. He's trying to give Kyle Dewey enough room right here to, get around the track. And you're seeing the difference between old tires and new tires here.
Absolutely. And Dewey, I'm looking at Dewey to see. I believe he has not made a pit stop. So, based on my stats, he did not make a pit stop. He tried the same strategy last week at Auto Club. Didn't work out too well for him, Chris. And right now, he's holding his own on the outside, but he has left several positions since that lap number 57 restart or so. Watching Johnny Rapp and several other cars right around the track. Interesting battle going on for the...
Got a battle.
Looking at my...
Got a battle for second right here. Sorry, I was going to say Justin Wilson in all of the scrum. You mentioned Justin Wilson threading the needle on that restart. He was able to get around Jacob Bradley, and sometimes on these restarts where you got guys with new tires, as we got a caution on the track.
That one, I believe, might have been for the number 61 of Christopher Campbell. See if we can go back and get a look at that.
I don't know if he was involved or if that was somebody else. Maybe James Danforth was involved in that, possibly in the 88. Yeah, it looks like James Danforth in the 88. He had some contact with Kyle Dewey here. So Kyle Dewey bounced off the wall, bounced into the 88 of James Danforth. James does a nice job not to come back out in front of the whole field, spins it on the apron, and draws the caution.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more than that. Great job. We've seen a lot of heads-up driving. We're going to see several cars come down pit road right now. Looking to see who they are. Dewey's going to be one. Josh Ford in the 57. All these guys who stayed out, looking for some fresh tires, I would imagine here. But I'm pretty sure Scotty Sobczak, did he stay out on that?
He did. He did. He stayed out, and Tony Hilbrand stayed out.
Tony Hilbrand.
Yeah, so those two
Rye
guys.
Jones as well. I believe Rye Jones in the number 91 stayed out as well. He has not been in this entire race.
He has. Rye Jones is currently on the same strategy that Justin Wilson's on.
Oh, that's really strange. It's showing. I see that now. He's got 12 laps on his tires, but it's showing me he hasn't pit. Weird. So maybe some bugs to work out there on my end, but Scotty Sobczak is still scored as your leader. I know the fans watching his stream as well as the broadcast are going to be happy about that. And hey, quickly, Rye Jones having a pretty good run tonight in the 6th position. Started 14th. He's up 8 spots. Let's go ahead and roll the Sim Racing Concepts Driver of the Race feature. Learn a little bit about Rye Jones and what makes him tick on a daily basis.
Hey guys, Rye Jones here to answer 5 questions. What is your job outside of sim racing? I work at Honda. I'm a line technician, so I get to work on cars, and I really enjoy it. Chocolate or vanilla, chocolate all day. Of course, real life racing, watching. I'm from New Mexico, so I would go to Phoenix all the time. The first one I saw was Kurt Busch win in the Cup Series back in 2005. Best condiments to put on a hot dog, mustard. That's it. And my favorite racetrack to race at on iRacing, Five Flags all day. I've lived out here for the past 7 years in Pensacola, and I absolutely love that racetrack. Definitely Five Flags.
All right, so Rye Jones, I know recently got married, celebrated his honeymoon in the islands, and I know he is he's feeling that energy right now, running in the looking like he's going to be scored in the 6th position, Chris. So really fun to learn about our drivers outside of sim racing, and I think that helps really with this community vibe that we have at Slingshot Racing. So thanks for Sim Racing Concepts for presenting that little driver of the race feature right now. Scotty Sobczak is your driver of the race because he is scored as your leader. He elected to take the top on the restart last time. He's going to do the same thing for this lap number 68 restart, and that's slightly different Pine Mountain Auto Supply car getting ready to mash down the throttle. They enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. We're back racing here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Sobczak and Hilbrand single file, Wilson third, Rye Jones on the outside looking to take 4th position from Jacob Bradley on the inside. Patrick Colby 6th there on the inside single file right now. Johnny Rapp behind him. Jeremy Gardner on that 5, Chris, having a pretty good run. I know he's definitely listening to us in the broadcast right now, but the driver of that number 5 we mentioned, he has a feline friend, a kitty, that had some issues this week, had to go to the vet, but they've got those sorted out, and I know he's happy about that. So channeling some of that positive energy so far into a good run tonight for Jeremy Gardner, that driver from High Point, North Carolina, in the number 5. And hey, we always appreciate a shout out to Slingshot Racing with that paint scheme. Looking pretty sweet out there. Tony Hilbrun's working on the outside of Patrick Colby. Colby's put together a couple of good runs this season. He's in the top 10 in points right now, Chris. One thing I want to shout out to Patrick Colby, great run last season in the late model series. We've seen him really develop over the past couple of seasons with Slingshot Racing. His racecraft has improved, and we're seeing him running up front more in the past 3 or 4 months, really, than we have previously. So really lots of improvement there for the driver of the number 9, Patrick Colby. He's always been pretty good, but taking it to a next level this season so far, as he is running 3rd position right now.
Yep, yeah, he's doing a great job. The battle tonight is going to be, especially if we get some green flag racing here, some long green flag runs, is just trying to keep the tires on it for as long as possible. Man, we got a heck of a battle right here.
Karosik. Several cars. That looks like Daniel Rowe's going to go around. Cars in the wall. Rowe's going to slide back onto the track, but I think he's going to keep it out of trouble. Caution will definitely be out here, but I saw that brewing for a good minute between Steve Karosik in the 72 and Jacob Chase in the number 43 finally get together, and Daniel Rowe's going to be the innocent bystander, I believe, in that crash.
Yeah, it looks like Karosik makes a really, really aggressive move to the bottom there, switched lanes, and kind of caught the 43 of Jacob Chase by surprise. You can see that Jacob Chase was attacking the corner as if nobody was going to be there in front of him, and I think it's just because of how quickly the 72 moved down in front of him. Unfortunately, Daniel Rowe got caught up in that, as well as that was a little bit of stack up there, as we can see the 68 spinning. 72 made some contact with the wall. Man, we're getting away with a lot of them tonight here.
We really are. We know we've had a handful of crashes, but we haven't seen a track blocking crash. And here we watch Scotty Sobczak and Tony Hilbrun's, those 2 leaders who had not pit yet, followed by a couple other cars who had not pit yet, coming down pit road. So several of our leaders opting to take their tires, get their gas here, making their way down that long track spanning pit road here on lap number 77. That's going to put them back in the pack, but the good news for them is they're going to be on slightly fresher tires than several of these other drivers out here, about 25 laps or so, with some caution flag laps mixed in with that. Chris, talking about championship implications here tonight, all of these drivers vying for the season title for the Apex Energy Series. We've got a great looking trophy made by UD Awards. Let's go ahead and take a moment to hear from our partners at UD Awards and see what kind of custom trophies they can come up with for you if you are in need of that. How do we get these one-of-a-kind amazing trophies? Well, we were fortunate to find UD Awards when we started our league. We reached out and we connected with Christopher, and we got started designing these one-of-a-kind works of art. The process was easy from start to finish. After just a few revisions, we finalized each one of them, and the team at UD got to work building each trophy from scratch. They're a small team, but they've got the ability to do just about anything your brain can imagine. And don't worry, if you're not an artist, they've got an entire catalog of unique trophies in pretty much any material you can imagine. Wood, acrylic, glass, and in the case of last season's trophy, metal. The best part, they're affordable. If you're looking for a trophy for your event or league, the choice is simple. UD Awards can give you exactly what you want. All right, we are back at Bristol for the Apex Energy Series. Lights are out on the pace car here on lap number 80 of 200. Your leaders came in to take tires right now. That puts Justin Wilson, Jacob Bradley, Patrick Colby, and Rye Jones as your top 4. Justin Wilson, Chris, is the control car, but he has chosen the inside, that number 58 Margaritaville car. Much more comfortable on the inside, it seems, as he's elected to start underneath Jacob Bradley as the pace car gets ready to peel off.
I think a lap possibly got added there because the lights came back on. While we have that extra lap, I just want to bring up where we've got some of our guys that are on new tires, some of those guys that came down pit road just that on this caution here. We've got Scotty Sobzak and Tony Hilbrans, who are up near the front, have been running up in the top 10 all night. They're going to be restarting 29th and 30th. So they have got a task ahead of them to try to get through this field here.
Yeah, they are definitely going to have a tall task. We've talked about what a burden lap traffic can be, or just general traffic in this sense can be. And track position is king here, but these drivers are going to do their best to work their way through it. Pace car peels off. Control car is Justin Wilson. He goes through the Geico restart zone. He goes up through the gears. Green flag is back out at Bristol Motor Speedway. Patrick Colby doesn't waste any time jumping to the outside,
no
to the inside rather.
Between Bradley and Wilson, the teammates got together there. Maybe a little bit of net code, but yeah, the teammates got together, and that was almost big.
That would have been I'm afraid that would have been a track blocking wreck, but we avoid it right now. Justin Wilson tried to stave off the number 9 of Patrick Colby there, working his outside.
Oh no, Patrick's loose.
Justin Wilson is going to try to hang on to it through the corner. Johnny Rapp is going to get in it. Several cars are going to get it. It's going to be at a caution right now. Can drivers lock down those brakes, Chris? That was...
We were wrecking for a long time there.
That was a slow one that you just kept on watching, hoping that we were going to avoid what would have been a big crash. And it still was. It looks like it gave several drivers some damage. I believe Justin Wilson, your leader, was able to hang on to it. As we watch Patrick Colby just really be a little too aggressive on the throttle off the corner there, and it sent the car around and almost got took out a couple guys with him.
This is what got me out of my seat right here. I thought these two were going to crash. The 58 and the 60 get together there. They kept it together. One lap later, you'll see Patrick Colby, and this is, these fresh, cold tires. You can see him. He's going to try to follow Jacob Bradley here on the outside. You smell blood in the water sometimes, and you want to get that track position. And coming off of turn 4 here, you'll see him put the throttle down up here on the top and just steps out on him. And, it looks like Johnny Rapp had some contact from behind from the 38. It looks like Johnny was reacting to, the spinning cars in front of him, or the cars that looked like they were going to spin. He does a heck of a job to save it. Patrick Piper got some contact from the 43 of Jacob Chase. It's just a stack-up effect. That's how wrecks happen here at Bristol.
Eric Wright, also on the 53, looked like he was involved as kind of an innocent bystander in that crash, kind of coming in there at the last minute. Not sure if that 53 had contact or not from behind. But we're going to find out here, maybe.
We'll see if we can
also, the 19 of Ryan Hinkle looked like he got sideways down there on the inside line. And like you mentioned, it's kind of the chain effect here. You see one car going around, people start hitting brakes, some people aren't on the brakes as quickly, and these are the kind of things that can happen. You watch the 53. Yeah, he's just trying to avoid it, cranking that wheel to the left, and at that point you're along for the ride. Caution is out on lap number 87.
That's just racing at Bristol right there, and I know I keep on saying that we're getting away with it when we have cautions, but, a lot of these guys are getting away with very little damage and are able to keep on rolling. So, happy to see that. That was some intense racing there on the restart, and it's only going to get more intense as the night goes on.
Yeah, and right now, just looking at lap times, I'm seeing the best lap times are definitely slower than they were in qualifying. So evidence of even the leaders up front are running about a tenth slower than the qualifying. hot lap. So these drivers are taking it easy, and especially early on in the race, despite some wrecks. And one thing we'll say about wrecks, we know we've had our fair share here in the past couple weeks, Chris, but we have NASCAR races where these guys are professional race car drivers, with 8, 9, 10 crashes in a race. So, and I know those races are a little bit longer, but humans are humans and make mistakes. So, and Bristol only adds to that.
And it looks like on this restart, our race controller, Sam Maxwell, has elected, since we did not go but just a couple laps there, has elected to move to single file restarts here for this restart.
Absolutely, and we mentioned this as one of the tools that our race director had in his toolbox tonight to help these drivers have just a little bit gentle reminder to take it easy on each other and don't be aggressive too early on in the race. Right now, Jacob Bradley is going to be your leader. He enters the Geico restart zone. We are back underway at Bristol Motor Speedway. He pulls away Jeremy Gardner in the second position of that number 5 car. Immediately, Patrick Colby showing his nose on Evan Pienta back in the 6th position. Right now, drivers are single file all the way back through about 8th or 9th position. Just looking through right now, Evan Pienta looking to make a move on Rye Jones in the 4th position. Rye Jones in that black and purple number 91 on the outside. Evan Pienta in the 55, blue and white car on the inside. Great battle here right now. Rye Jones, that number 91, getting the advantage off the corner. He is going to clear Evan Pienta to take over the 4th spot here, setting his sights on Justin Wilson in the number 58, who had a moment of a scary moment there on that last caution, but was able to hang on to it. Looking through the field right now, Johnny Rapp recovered well from that incident here just a couple of laps ago as they worked their way by the number 85 of Ben Keast. Randy Bechtel looking in the rear view mirror at Johnny Rapp. As we watch this battle between Justin Wilson and Rye Jones for the 4th position, or the 3rd position, rather, Chris. I know I'm sending you all around the track looking at these battles, but right now we've got some pretty close side-by-side racing. Randy Bechtel started off in the 8th position, so he's up 1 position. And we talked earlier, Randy's a great driver at this track in that green Interstate Batteries machine. Kyle Busch fan, showing some love to Joe Gibbs Racing tonight with that Interstate Battery scheme. Is that an Incredible Hulk scheme?
It is.
Am I just making that up in my head? Okay, I'm glad I didn't just make that up. And I know I have a vivid imagination, but I don't think I could have made that up. So throwing it back to that Incredible Hulk scheme. Yeah, it is a good looking. It is a good looking. I think that's
I could be wrong, but I think that Bobby Labonte ran that scheme.
You would be correct, and I'm pretty sure I've got a diecast stored somewhere of that Bobby Labonte Hulk paint scheme. As we watch Randy Bechtel cruise around in the 7th position right now. Just looking through the field at some drivers we might be able to talk about here a little bit. Jacob Chase, Chris, nice recovery from getting involved in that incident on the last lap. He is running in the 9th position. Josh Ward right behind him in the 57. Chris, Josh Ward put together, I'm just looking through my stats here for a second. Josh Ward right now is running in the 9th position in points. Moved up 7 spots after last week's race. Had a really good run. Looking to see where he finished. He finished 6th.
Yeah.
So Josh Ward in that 57. We saw him struggle in the late models and not make as much noise as we're used to seeing from the driver of that blue and yellow car. Josh Ward done a really good job so far this season, working his way around right now in the top 10, sitting 10th.
Yeah, and he is on a little bit fresher tires than a lot of the people that he's around tonight. He has made a pit stop. As he gets loose. Oh, no, he overcorrected into the wall hard.
Oh.
Man, here we go, another one.
I can't talk about these guys.
Scott Tompkins is in the wall.
Several drivers in the wall on lap 102.
Don't know what happened to Scott, if it was a reaction possibly to the...
Oh, don't back up on the track.
Oh, no.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can figure out what happened here.
Well, let's go back and let's watch... let's see if we can find what happened to the 57 first. Josh Ward, it looked like he overcorrected into the... Oh, he's on the inside of Jacob Chase, and I think that Chase possibly just didn't give him the room that he needed.
Just a little bit, yeah. And I'm trying to figure out where that incident with Scott Tompkins originated from.
Yeah, I don't know if Scott maybe. Oh man, he was loose all the way back to entry of 1. All right, he overcorrected. And, oh, man, a hard hit from Chris Blassie. I think that was also possibly Chris Pearce. No, that was a 72 of Corrosive.
72.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Campbell is also involved. And that's several drivers involved in that incident. Hate to see that.
Yep, so this was kind of that track blocking incident that we had spoken of at a track like Bristol. Those things are easy to happen, and we've gone 104 laps without that happening. Really 102, I guess, before that lap 102 caution. Probably going to take several drivers out of the race here. About halfway through, we can watch. It's just a chain reaction between the 72, between those other cars involved. Chris Blassie in the 15.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to show everybody. I just want to show everybody how difficult it is to miss a crash here. Chris Blassie's just riding along right here in the middle of 1 and 2. He cannot see the wreck until you see it right there, and by that point, he gets on the brakes. Unfortunately, there's contact from behind. It's just so difficult to miss a crash here.
It is, and you can be as good a driver as possible. We got a driver slowing down the front stretch. I think that's Daniel Rowe giving up a couple of positions. But hey, while all that was ensuing, Chris, I believe missed a pass for the lead with Jeremy Gardner taking over the top spot. I know we've got a Gardner fan, at least one in the chat right now, rooting for the driver, that number 5. He is sitting in the lead right now with Jacob Bradley second, Justin Wilson fourth, Justin Wilson third, Rye Jones fourth, Evan Pienta slotting into the final top 5 position. And I would imagine we got another single file restart headed our way as we ride on board with Jeremy Gardner in that number 5. We know he won the Clash at Daytona early in the season, but has had some issues in the first 2 races, including the Daytona Apex Energy 200 and last week's race at Auto Club. Back tonight, though, looking in pretty good form for the driver of that number 5 from High Point, North Carolina. So we'll be keeping an eye on him to see how this continues to go.
Yeah, and our race director has elected to add a lap here to try to make sure everybody is in the correct running order. Yeah, we'll see what happens here on this restart. I'm still also keeping an eye back here in the 16th, 15th, 16th, 17th position. Scotty Sobczak, Tony Hilbrans, James Suggs, these guys that are on fresher tires. These single file restarts, I don't know if they wanted to see that, because that just means that, the field is a little bit more spread out and it's a little bit harder to get back through the field. Yeah, we'll see what happens here.
Absolutely. Pace car going to be peeling off here to let these drivers take the green in about half a lap. We are at lap 107, just about 93 laps left. And once again, you mentioned we've elected for a single file restart to help these drivers get some laps under their belt, separate the field a little bit. There will be side-by-side racing once drivers start to initiate those passes. But to clean things up initially, we will see Jeremy Gardner be the lone car taking the green here as he comes off of turn number 4, mashes that throttle. Everyone's going to stay out of trouble. It looks like, though, several cars lost momentum. Looking at Tony Caputo, Ryan Hinkling back there in about the 11th, 12th position. Jeremy Gardner gets off to a good spot. Jacob Bradley in second. Everyone's single file all the way up through the 10th position, where Ryan Hinkle and Tony Caputo in the number 42 having a good scrum here in the lap number 109. Hinkle on the inside, Caputo on the outside. Caputo got a little bit of speed advantage off the corner, but we talked about you basically give up a little bit of tire, a little bit of extra tire on the outside as we watch Tony Caputo pull away from the driver, the number 19, and Steve McDonald going to set his sights on catching the number 19 here. Steve McDonald, looking at his lap times, 15.4, best of the night. Last lap was a 15.7. And he is on 58-lap old tire, so he's kind of the last car, at least for a few cars, on that particular cycle strategy that the leaders are on. Pretty old tires for the driver of that number 6, Steve McDonald, right now. He's dealing with Scotty Sobczak in that number 81, though. Chris, Scotty Sobczak still trying to work his way up through the field after that pit stop a handful of cautions ago.
Yeah, he is. And as the field cycles through right here, can't really get a good read on lap times right now for these guys on fresher tires because they're in such heavy traffic. But, yeah, you can just have a little bit more maneuverability, and you're able to just have a little bit more confidence in the passes. Your roll speed in the center of the corner is quite a bit better. So, yeah, this is about a, like we said, about a 25 lap difference between the drivers. Like that you see right here on your screen, Sobczak, Hilbrans, and Suggs.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to call out Eric Wright, back in 20th position. He's got a great battle going on with Lee Campbell, the 14, Johnny Rapp, his teammate, also in the 52, right behind him. Eric Wright's driven with us a couple times before, but he's back in full force this season in that number 53 car. We are glad to have Eric Wright back, that driver out of Lansing, Michigan. Doing a great job right now. Started back in the 25th position, so he's made up about 6 spots over the course of the evening. I know he was involved in that incident a couple of cautions ago, but working his way back up through the field right now, trying to hold off the number 26 of Zachary Lyman. Right now on lap 118, about 81 laps left in the Apex Energy Series race here at Bristol.
Yeah, Johnny Rapp right now. We talked about Scotty Sobczak and... Oh, we got a caution.
Caution is out. So we can find out what happened here on lap 119.
Looks like we got a car stopped. It might be Chris Pearce, possibly, in the 65. Oh, no, maybe not. I saw the tail end of a car, and I just assumed that it was him. Let's see if we can go back. Is it Evan Pienta?
I think it's Evan Pienta or Rye Jones.
Oh, no.
Watching right now. Not sure what happened.
Oh, some contact there on entry. Oh, yeah. And there was a car stopped. It was Ben Keast. Oh, man. So we'll go back and we'll see. I could see a car on the inside there, but I couldn't see what happened. Ben Keast currently running 15 laps down. Yeah, got loose off of 4. Oh, and he just hits the wall. He's got, yeah, and, I think Evan just expected him to ricochet back into the
Jeremy Gardner. Jeremy Gardner, I would love to have an onboard view of that 5 car approaching that wreck because that has to be a wild one. Narrowly missing that 85 car. I'm sure he held his breath.
That's a lot of patience right there. You could hear him wait on the throttle there before he gassed it back up. Off the gas here. Oh yeah, that's a lot of patience right there. Great job by him to avoid the 85.
Absolutely, and hey, stage points are going to be awarded based on the running order at lap 118. So the top 10 are going to receive stage points. We've talked about the impact that can have on the point standings. It's what's helped kind of keep it tight up at the front. So a handful of drivers are going to be looking at getting some stage points by running up in the top 10 at that stage break. But right now, Jacob Bradley and several of these other leaders, including Gardner, Wilson, Jones, Colby, all opting to make what I would imagine they're hoping is their final pit stop of the night, but it's going to send them further back in the field. The guys who stayed out on that lap number 121 pit stop, Steve McDonald, James Suggs, Lee Campbell, Johnny Rapp, Kyle Dewey, and Chase Berry. In 6th, Chris, Chase Berry started 32nd. He is one of the biggest movers of the race. Kyle Dewey started 32nd. He's up to 5th. Lee Campbell, Chris, started 39th position and is up to 3rd position right now.
Yeah.
36 spots gained for Lee Campbell.
Yeah, and car looks really clean to be buried that deep in the field for as long as he was. So, yeah, kudos to Lee Campbell for looking after his car. I know he was caught up in that big crash last week at Fontana. So, looking to get things turned around this week and to have a good run. And right now, he is having a great run.
Absolutely. Just looking through the chat real quick as we keep our eyes on the pace car. Lights are going to be out. So we're about a lap away from the green flag. I know we've got a Christopher Campbell fan in the chat right now, looking for where Christopher Campbell is running.
Unfortunately,
26th.
Yeah, he's running in the 28th position right now. Unfortunately, he was caught up in that crash earlier that we had with Karosik and Blassie. So, fortunately, he's a lap down, but he's still in this race and, hoping to get that lucky dog maybe on the next caution.
Yep. He's keeping on trucking. And, hey, right now, the guy pacing the field, and we are going double file racing again on this restart. Steve McDonald is elected the inside here on lap number 124, coming to 125. He's waiting to enter the restart zone. He's going to hit the throttle. Gets a little bit of a late start.
Oh, man, yeah.
Outside of the restart zone, which is going to bog that inside line down just a little bit. James Suggs is going to take advantage of that on the outside. Johnny Rapp.
Not sure who it is. It might be Ryan Hinkle. We'll go back and see. Yeah, these guys are waiting really late in the restart zone, and unfortunately, that's causing a big stack up, and because people are trying to anticipate the start.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we just to explain to viewers, we do have a restart zone. So when these drivers...
Yeah, he got hit on the restart right there. It looked like... it might
Eric Wright in the number 53, it looks like, if I am correct.
Yeah. They were going through the gears. Everybody slowed up. Everybody slowed up again. And, Eric Wright was just thinking that Ryan Hinkle was going to go. And I'm sure that Ryan Hinkle thought that everybody in front of him was going to go too. So, I wish that... I know that the Geico restart zone is what's used in real life, but, man, I sure do wish that our drivers would just go a little bit sooner in that box so we wouldn't have that stack-up effect.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure if that's going to result in a penalty for the 6 or not. If the race director, Sam Maxwell, deems it all good and kosher, he'll remain in the second position. Right now in the chat, just looking at, we got Scott Tompkins saying, let's go remaining 3D1M guys. His teammates rooting them on. Scott, last week's winner. Not going to be this week's winner, unfortunately. And Scott, I know we got some good rec photos for next week, so we appreciate you providing those with us. Hype Dad, a little bit upset about that last caution. Don Hilbrun's also chiming in here. Ellen Thomas.
Is chiming in as well.
Are you single? That is my wife. So I am not single, and I appreciate her tuning in. She says I sound very cute. All right, we'll move on from that. Thank you for watching. We appreciate everyone in the chat right now. If you're watching, let us know who you are rooting for. Go ahead and support your drivers, support the channel by making this chat as hype as possible and bringing some energy, some Apex energy to our broadcast. We appreciate that. At the end of the season, we will reward one fan as the Apex Energy Fan of the Season. Right now, I think, Chris, there are some pretty big contenders going on here. I know Dawn Hilbrun's definitely going to be in that running if she continues to bring the hype train each week like she is right now. Dylan Sprock rooting on the 92. Tony Hilbrun's. We got the Hilbrun's crew in the chat right now. Watching James Suggs. He is scored as your leader. We saw him take advantage of that late kind of restart by Steve McDonald, and he channeled it into the lead on the outside. Johnny Rapp wasn't able to get by before that caution came out on lap number 126. So he is third. The 17 car runs in fourth. That's Chase Berry, Chris. He's up 28 positions. We mentioned Lee Campbell just a few moments ago in the broadcast, running fifth. Jeremy Gardner, he is on the freshest tires right now, Chris. He's kind of your first driver on that new set of fresh tires. He has scored in the sixth position. Kyle Dewey hanging on in seventh. And then you get the rest of your cars that are on that newer tire strategy with Jacob Bradley leading that crew in eighth.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching that. I'm going to be watching that 5 car because, he's on the freshest tires and the furthest up, and Johnny Rapp, Chase Berry. They also have very close tires as well because we've had so many caution laps here.
Absolutely. Pace car going to pull off. See if we get a cleaner restart. Single file for James Suggs in that yellow woo-woo garage number 22. Gets a nice jump on Steve McDonald. Steve McDonald going to be on a very quick challenge. Jacob Bradley going to run up the track right in front of Kyle Duty back in the sixth position. But right now things are heating up in front. Johnny Rapp looking to work his way underneath the 6 car of Steve McDonald side by side as they enter the corner. Right now, the 20 slides up. Johnny Rapp going to go from 3rd position all the way to the lead in about a corner. And right now, the 20 of Suggs is really struggling, Chris, on those old tires, even worse so than Steve McDonald, who is on even older tires, as we watch several cars, including McDonald, Barry, now Bradley, and Lee Campbell looking to, like you mentioned earlier, they smell blood from that number 20, and they are working their way underneath him. The same is true for Kyle Dewey in the number 33. We saw this cause trouble earlier on in the race, where that driver number 33 was loose off those corners and came down and kind of clipped the car on the inside. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Hopefully he's learned from that early race mistake and keeps things clean up top, as several drivers are going to be working their way past him. Now Randy Bechtel, Patrick Colby also looking to capitalize on that number 33's tire woes. On lap 135, 65 laps remaining in the Pearce Graphic Designs Bristol night race. Jeremy Gardner coming back out on the track. I'm not sure what happened to Jeremy Gardner there, Chris, and that number 5. What caused him to have to come to pit road?
Yeah, I must have missed that in all this other crazy action that we've got going on out here. Yeah, not sure what the issue was. Is we got a caution on the track.
Going to see if we can find out what happened.
Maybe Eric Wright, Tony Caputo, possibly. We'll go back and we'll see.
Blasty as well. I'm looking at him being slow on the track. I can't see anything. I'm not sure what happened there.
Eric Wright with a slide job right there. And he just drove in. Just couldn't quite make the corner there. We'll back up here. He drove in really hard. Tried to slide up in front of the 42 of Caputo. Fortunately, ran out of real estate there. Bounced off the wall and down into Daniel Rowe. Tony Caputo and him slide along the wall. And that is going to bring out the caution.
And that caution is going to be out on lap 139. Hey, we'll reset the running order here in a minute, but let's go ahead and hear from our partners at Sim Racing Concepts. I know they've got some really exciting products out, including a full dashboard that is modular, that can mount to a variety of wheels, including the CSL DD wheel and now the Thrustmaster TX wheels as well. So we'll go ahead and hear from them. We'll come back on the other end of this break. All right, we are back at Thunder Valley, the last great Coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway. Lap number 141 here for the Apex Energy Series, race number 3 on the season. Several incidents tonight, Chris, but we kind of expected that coming into Bristol. We saw a good bit of patience earlier on the race, but I feel like that patience is wearing off with just about 60 laps left to go as this race gets ready to enter its final quarter. Pace car's got 1 lap before it peels off. Your leader is Johnny Rapp. He's elected to take the outside. Chase Berry, Chris, one of the biggest movers of the evening, is up 30 positions into the second spot here. He's going to be starting on the inside. Looks like our race director, Sam Maxwell, has elected to allow these drivers to start double file after a single file restart on the last caution. And I'd imagine the aggression is probably going to only amp up from here as the pace car gets ready to peel off. We'll see how this Geico restart zone works out, where Johnny Rapp mashes the throttle here on lap 142. He goes right in the middle of the restart zone. Clean start for the leaders. Barry is going to slot into second. Bradley is going to work his way underneath Steve McDonald, who's dealing with Rye Jones and Justin Wilson. Right now, battle for the lead, though. The 17 of Chase Berry in that blue and black paint scheme works his way underneath Johnny Rapp, but it's going to open up a spot on the outside for Jacob Bradley, his Payday Racing teammate, to capitalize on. Right now, the race is on for second down the back straightaway. Bradley takes it. He's also going for the lead here off of turn number 4 on the inside, but the number 52 of Johnny Rapp has the momentum as the drivers work their way into turn 1 and 2 here on lap number 145. Bradley going to slot into second, but we got some aggressive racing going on back in the 4th, 5th, and 6th position. Justin Wilson right now working the inside of Steve McDonald, but he's got Patrick Colby in the 9 breathing down his back, while the 92 of Tony Hilbrun's is breathing down the neck of the number 6 of Steve McDonald. You could lay a blanket over the top of these 7 or 8 cars right now, Chris, as they work to try to sort this out amongst themselves. It's going to take a couple of laps.
Yeah, and Steve McDonald and Chase Berry are up on the top right here. And when you're on older tires and around a bunch of guys that are on fresher tires, I think that's the best thing that you can do here. You keep your momentum built up that way. You try to, cut down on the bleeding of losing positions by as McDonald gets loose there off of turn 2, but he does a nice job to not overreact and to keep the car straight.
Absolutely. Veteran move by Steve McDonald there. Great top 4 finish last week at Auto Club. Trying to work his way back into the top 5 here on lap 149. Coming to 150, final stretch of the race, final 50 laps as we watch side-by-side racing back in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th position. We're seeing Patrick Piper try to hold off Randy Bechtel on the inside. That right there is a battle for the 10th position. Randy Bechtel in that incredible Hulk scheme trying to get underneath Patrick Piper. And Chris, we've talked about the outside line being traditionally faster here tonight as we watch Piper get up into the wall. Not again. I got nervous that I might have put the jinx on the 38 car, but you can see the challenge that he's facing up until just now. He's got Tony Hilbrun's up ahead of him, who's getting stacked up by the 43 as these drivers work their way around the lap car of Steve Ulrich in that 77. So proving that the outside line isn't always the preferable line if there's traffic in front of you.
Yeah, and I don't see really anybody up here in this pack that's probably driving harder than Patrick Piper is right now. His car is, I've seen it yawed out a couple times on corner entry. He's driving. That means he's driving again really, really hard on corner entries. So, yeah, he's trying to.
Jacob Chase and Patrick Colby almost had contact. I think Patrick Colby got a little loose in the corner, and Chase scooted up to the back of bumper of that number 9 real fast. We almost had an incident there on lap 154. Apologies for cutting you off.
No, that's all good. Yeah, it's, we're getting down to it here as Jacob Chase up really high in the middle of the corner right there.
Piper showing him some grace and cutting him some slack. The driver, that number 43, has seen his own adventures tonight, and right now looking to avoid another one. Really struggling there on the outside. Looking at Jacob Chase. He is on fresher tires than Steve McDonald in front of him. 33-lap old tires to be precise, but still struggling a little bit on that outside line, Chris. The longer you work that outside, the more tire wear you have. Looking at 3 wide going down into 1. Tony Caputo, Clint Walker, and that I believe is Daniel Berg back there as well in the 27. Those drivers are somehow going to make it work. I don't know how they did it. But,
oh no,
whew,
Tony
that
Caputo.
Was a hold your breath moment.
Oh man, Tony Caputo, it looks like he's having some connection issues right there. Blinked out for just a second. You don't want that anywhere, but you really don't want it here at Bristol where things are really tight, really close.
Yeah, things can go south in a moment right now. Some of the leaders working their way by the 40 car of Paul Thomas, who was involved in that early incident on his own, but still hanging tough. Still looking to finish this race right now. Johnny Rapp is your leader as we watch some tough racing here between Daniel Berg and the 42 of Tony Caputo, along with James Suggs, Jeremy Gardner, and Daniel Rowe back there.
Battle for the lead.
68. Yeah, we'll cut back up to the lead battle between Johnny Rapp and Jacob Bradley, Payday Racing teammates, but one is on Payday Racing green. That's Johnny Rapp, and then Payday Racing purples, Jacob Bradley here. We mentioned the Payday Racing teams. because this is the first season we do have a team championship. Chris, right now, Payday Racing Purple is in the lead, but I believe Payday Racing Green is in third place, looking to earn some points and work their way maybe up into second. Johnny Rapp really loose off that corner, running up on the back of the 48 of James Ledford. Not really much either of those drivers could do, but Johnny had to get out of the throttle, and it's going to open the door up for the 60 of Jacob Bradley. Rye Jones making it a 3-horse race for the lead on lap 162 for the Apex Energy Series race here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I don't think that Johnny Rapp was expecting James Ledford to be where he was at that moment, as Jacob Bradley is going to clear Johnny Rapp for the lead right there. Jacob Bradley is on slightly fresher tires than Johnny Rapp. So is Rye Jones. I think that Rye probably wants to maybe see if he can get around Johnny here so that Jacob Bradley doesn't get away. You know, Johnny Rapp's tires are not that far off of these guys because we've had so many caution laps. So that's probably a good move on his part to employ the strategy that he's done.
Yeah, I would venture to say that 52 of Johnny Rapp probably has about less than 10 more green flag laps on those tires than his companions up there in the top 5 right now with Rye Jones and Jacob Bradley, as well as the leader, Jacob Bradley. So good run going for Johnny Rapp. I know we got John Rapp, his dad, in the chat. We got a Lee Campbell fan, Matty Campbell, in the chat rooting on Lee in that number 14 car. Lee right now running in the 20th position. So solid top 20 run going for Lee Campbell. Watching Tony Hilbrun's also cruising around the track. I know Don's watching the chat. Got a lot of good racing, Chris, going on right now. Patrick Piper, though, in that number 38. Back in the 10th position, still holding on. I'm almost afraid to bring up drivers now, specifically because I'm afraid they're going to wreck when we put the camera on them. Still battling Steve McDonald, and I think this has created a bit of a log jam back on 10th
some
position.
contact.
Piper is loose. He's going to get in the 50 of Brandon Waldrop. Caution is going to be out. I think we're going to avoid a bigger crash, Chris. Just stop me. Stop me from talking about these guys.
Man, you know, Patrick Piper was driving super, super hard, and we saw him a couple times underneath some guys right there. You know, we're getting down to it at the end. It's not a criticism at all. It's time to start driving hard, and just trying to make the most of the position right here underneath the 6 of McDonald. He just drives it in just a little too hard. Can't make the bottom of the track. He gets into the 6. And then gets a little bit sideways and up into the 50 of Brandon Waldrop. Nowhere to go for the 50 of Waldrop. It looks like some contact possibly between Wesley Pistol and Zachary Lima there. But they are able to straighten it out, and that's all we had.
Yeah, they gathered up, and we mentioned that this is getting down to it. Under 30 laps remaining here at Bristol Motor Speedway. All eyes are on the leader, and no leader. Patrick Colby is going to be the first car along with, I'm looking who that is behind Patrick, to come down pit road.
Chase Berry,
that is
I think.
going to be Chase Berry, yeah. So handful of cars. Steve McDonald as well. I believe that's the 50 who was involved in the wreck. James Suggs coming in. Daniel Rowe coming in. Several guys electing to take tires here. And, Chris, if we don't see if you're one of these drivers who's taking tires now, with what's going to be a restart with probably about 27 or 26 laps to go, do you want another caution to come out? Or are you banking on this thing going green?
I think that you probably want it to go green for a little bit, and then you want the caution to come out. I think that you want to have a chance to be able to pick your way through some of these guys on older tires. The guys up front here, just looking at the field here, I think that I want to say that Patrick Colby is possibly going to come out around the 16th position once this all shakes out here. I think that Jacob Bradley, Jacob Bradley has a set of tires in the pits along with everybody else in the top 10. But I think that they're banking on like, hey, we're down to less than 30 to go. I don't want to be be coming up through the field now. Track position is more important than the tires. So if you're one of these guys up here at the front, you're hoping it obviously goes green to the end. If you're one of those guys like Patrick Colby, Chase Berry, Steve McDonald, you're going to want some caution laps to try to bunch the field up.
Yeah, so Right now, working lap 173. Your leader is Jacob Bradley, Rye Jones second, Johnny Rapp third, Justin Wilson fourth, Tony Hilbrins rounds out your top 5. Randy Bechtel, we mentioned, great racer at Bristol, running in the 6th slot. Scotty Sobczak still working his way back up to the front after kind of a pit stop earlier in the race that sent him back near the end of the field, still making up those spots. He's probably got the award for the most cars passed today. Jacob Chase, involved in a handful of incidents, but he has climbed his way back up to the 8th position. Chris, let's talk about Clint Walker in that 0-2 for just a moment. Right now, this has got to be the run of the season for that 0-2. 22 spots gained after starting in 31st. So shout out to Clint Walker in that 0-2, avoiding some early race troubles, working his way back up to the top 10. Clint Walker from Woodstock, Georgia, not too far down the road from where I live. That's about an hour away. You get lunch sometime, Clint.
Yeah, I think we've been to a track there before, haven't we?
We have. Dixie Speedway, dirt track. Right now, they're feeling like they're on dirt. If you got old tires, Jacob Bradley is your leader. He's going to hit the Geico restart zone. We're back underway. Jones is second. Rapp working on his teammate Justin Wilson in third. Several cars side by side as we go all the way back through about 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th positions of side-by-side racing right here. Jacob Bradley off to the races, leaving these other guys to settle it out. James Danforth to the inside gets run down there, not sure by who.
I think it was the 0-2.
We almost had an incident there. So Clint Walker avoiding a big wreck. Great heads-up driving by the driver, the number 88 of James Danforth. Right now, that is a hornet's nest I would not want to be in. Patrick Colby working at 3 wide on top of Clint Walker in the 0-2. He is trying to keep pace right now with Chase Berry. That is the top car with fresh tires. So Chase Berry now up to the 9th position, Chris. They got about 24 laps if Chase Berry is going to claw his way back up to the front on these Goodyear fresh tires. Got his sights set on the 81 of Scott Sobczak right now, as well as the 43 of Jacob Chase. These cars are like rockets on wheels with these fresh tires. Playing high-speed chess out there. Almost an incident between Clint Walker and Jeremy Gardner back further in the field. Right now, you're watching this battle for the 8th position, really the 7th position. If you're Chase Berry, how long are you patient with the 81 of Scott Sobczak, who is on older tires than you?
I mean,
James Danforth around, but he's going to gather it back up. Not sure if he came back up onto the track, if we're going to have a caution. I think he got it gathered up in that number 88, Chris. Great job by James Danforth. We're still green with 21 laps left. Now 20 laps left here at Bristol.
Yeah, there's nowhere for Patrick Colby and Chase Berry to go. The track's blocked in front of them. You can try to force a 3-wide move, but man, you're flirting with disaster if you do that.
Oh, man, I've got cars flirting with disaster all the way around the track right now. That's the theme song, really, of the entire night. But we've seen the intensity and energy pick up. Daniel Bergen, the 27, taps the wall lightly. Going to stay out of trouble, though, coming across the start-finish line on now lap 183 of 200. Patrick Colby sideways in the corner. Is he going to hang on to it? Everyone gathers it back up. Colby is going to lose several positions in that blue number 9. Slipping back about 8 positions, got sideways in the middle of 1 and 2, and he's going to hang on to it. Another car. Looks like Kyle Dewey in the 33 going to come back up the track. He's going to hang on to it. Chris, we got cars sideways everywhere. I know I'm giving you a workout with these cameras right now, trying to point as much action out on the track as possible. And my gosh, I don't know how we have stayed green for the past
some contact.
5 laps. Suggs and Hilbrins.
All right, they kept it straight, though. Everybody's doing a really great job. The intensity is picked up here, but they are doing a great job keeping it straight.
Yeah, I don't know what to keep an eye on right now. Rye Jones has run down Jacob Bradley in the past couple of laps. He's closed the distance to just about 3 car lengths on his Payday Racing teammate of Jacob Bradley. Justin Wilson not far behind in third with Chase Berry, Chris. Really the biggest gainer of that Patrick Colby near incident. Chris, that 17 is coming on fresh tires in second, going underneath his 91 teammate. Right now, they're working their way around the 77. It's going to be 3 wide down into turn 1 on lap 187. Chris, Chase Berry is sitting in a really, really good position here. I can't overstate that with about 13 laps left.
And here he is on the inside of Bradley. I thought that it would take maybe one more caution to bunch the field back up, but it's not going to take that as Chase Berry is right there battling Jacob Bradley for the lead.
Absolutely, and we've seen that high line have a bit of a speed advantage all night, but right now it's not going to stand much of a chance over the course of several laps.
Caution.
We see it. Oh, caution is out. Looking through the
Suggs.
field where that happened. The 20 of James Suggs got around, and based on that pack he was racing in, Chris, I think he probably got some help on lap 190, and that is some serious damage. You can see the front bumper hanging out behind that 20 car. Never where you want to see your front bumper. We saw this action brewing for a while. Tony Hilbrunz gets loose off the corner there.
Oh, yeah. So it looked like the 77 of Steve Ulrich is a little bit slow on the top. He's a few laps down here. And, yeah, Jacob Chase moved to miss him. Looked like James Suggs also moved to pass him. But unfortunately for Suggs, Tony Hilbrunz was already on the inside, and they make some contact there.
Absolutely, and that is late race racing at Bristol for you, ladies and gentlemen. James Suggs, Tony Hilbrunz. I know Dawn is not going to be excited about that, but she can rest easy knowing Tony had a good race. And I don't know how much damage did Tony get on that. Certainly not as much as the 20 of James Suggs.
I think that Tony Hilbrunz towed. I think he is done for the night.
All right, so an unfortunate lap 190 incident there, Chris. But in the midst of all that, as we kind of broke away from the lead, Chase Berry crossed the line, or the last scoring loop, as the leader before that caution came out. So he will be the control car on this restart. And I would imagine, just based on the circumstances, with what's going to be probably a 7-lap shootout at the most, is going to see a double file restart and give both lines and all the drivers up near the front a chance to score the victory here, with just about now 9 laps left, but it'll certainly be around 7 when we get going here. Do you see any pit stops in our future?
No,
for
I
the
think
top 10 at least.
Yeah, I think that everybody is. They've made their bed. Now they have to lie in it. Chase Berry is on about 50 lap fresher tires than everybody else around him in the top 5. The next closest driver that is also on the same strategy as Chase Berry is Steve McDonald in the 6th. Currently, he's running in the 6th position. So, hey, there's an opportunity for the driver of the 6 to possibly gain a few more spots in front of him here. And you also got Daniel Rowe, who is also on that strategy too. So things were looking rough for Daniel earlier, but he has rebounded and is currently in the 7th position. And I suspect that we'll see a few more position changes here before the end of this, but I don't think anybody else is pitting.
Absolutely. Hey, quick shout out as we get ready for green here in a couple laps. Nick DeCesare running in the 14th position. Nick started back in 36. He's moved up 22 spots. Nick, I remember going a lap down, or nearly a lap down, earlier in the night, has got that Sunoco 00 back into the top 15. And I'm just looking, I don't see a lot of damage on it. Obviously a little bit of damage here at Bristol, but he's kept that thing pretty clean, at least from my perspective, most of the evening, and worked his way back into the top 15. Really good effort for Nick DeCesare. That Connecticut driver, he says he's slow and steady, and I think that's the great way to describe his race tonight. Just kind of slowly working his way back through the field. But right now, Chase Berry worked his way through the field on fresh tires just about 10 laps ago. We're getting ready for a restart. He's going to be leading the field to the green on the outside here. Pace car is going to peel off for possibly the last time. It's going to be a 6-lap shootout, and it's going to start now as the driver of the number 17 mashes down the throttle. We are back underway here at Bristol. Berry gets off great. Wilson is going to be second. Bradley slots into third. McDonald Christie's already up 2 positions into the 4th position with those fresh tires. Now working his way up to third underneath Jacob Bradley. Keeping our eyes on the rest of the field to see if we can keep it clean for these final few laps. I know there's probably some angry drivers out there, but hopefully cooler heads will prevail for the final 5 laps of this race.
Yeah, Steve McDonald's going to really try super hard to complete this pass.
Really out of the groove back there. Going to lose a couple positions, but as you mentioned, Steve McDonald working that number 60, that
some
inside.
Contact between Pistol and Sobzak. I think Pistol got into the wall. Everybody's going to keep on going, though.
Absolutely. We're just about 3 laps away from the conclusion here of the Apex Energy Series race at Bristol. 3 wide now.
Randy
down.
Bechtel.
Oh, Randy Bechtel going to hit the
Huge
wall.
crash.
He's going to take out Rowe, Colby, several other drivers, Sobzak, Danforth. Several drivers, Chris, we've avoided that most of the evening.
Yep. Yeah,
And this is going to lead us to a green-white checkered finish. That took out several contenders. Lee Campbell, I see, involved in that. Daniel Berg, who was having a pretty good run this evening before this lap number 198 crash. We're going to return to the scene of the crime and see where that trouble began. You can see the smoke here, and there's going to be fire soon. Randy Bechtel just ran up on the inside of that 68 and got loose, looks like.
Yeah, I think that Randy maybe anticipated Daniel Rowe maybe jumping up in line behind Johnny Rapp there. But I think Daniel Rowe is also trying to still give Rapp room on the outside. So I think it's just, those guys just kind of ran out of room right there. And, man, Randy hits the inside wall hard, and it just sends him right back in front of the field. Scotty Sobczak, James Danforth, Patrick
Jacob
Colby.
Chase, Daniel Berg, several cars. Looks like Kyle Dewey sliding back into it. Clint Walker had a good night running. Nick Cesare. Again, several of these drivers I mentioned, Chris, no shocker, going to be involved in that. Don Hilbrun says Bristol Blues are showing now. Absolutely. Several drivers had good nights going, Chris, in this lap 199 caution dampened the evening of several drivers who got caught up in that melee.
Yeah, heck of a job right there by Tony Caputo to navigate his way through that crash right there and gain several spots.
Yeah, so again, this we haven't seen a track blocker like that all evening. And we knew that that can be the nature of Bristol, and we finally saw it rear its ugly head here in the closing laps of this race. But it doesn't change things up front. Other than a new development, I do want to mention Chase Berry is scored as your leader with the freshest tires. Justin Wilson is second, Chris, but don't look now. The driver of that number 6 coming off a fourth place finish at Fontana last week is up into third. So in this final 2 laps, he's possibly going to have something to say about the conclusion and the ultimate running order at the end of this race here at Bristol. We haven't seen him maybe with the speed. In fact, I think we might have seen the 6th run a little bit faster. I'm just looking at best laps of the night. I know that's not the best indicator right here in the closing stages, but Chase Berry's run a 15.3. Steve McDonald's run a 15.4. So Berry with a little bit of edge for his best lap of the night. But I'm sure anything McDonald's got left in the tank is going to be put on afterburners here as we enter this final restart, hopefully.
Yep, and hey, if you got anything left, now's obviously the time to let it out. And yeah, it's going to be difficult, with Chase Berry being the control car. He and Justin Wilson are teammates. Jacob Bradley is a teammate. Ryan Jones is a teammate. So Steve McDonald is surrounded by payday guys up here at the front. I don't know if they're going to communicate the restart here, if they're going to let each other know when they jump, since they're going to be racing for the win. But it might be a moot point anyway with these fresh tires that Chase Berry's got.
Absolutely. Chase Berry is driving a rocket right now. We've seen a dogfight all night long. You can feel the adrenaline right now through the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, pace car, we added an extra lap. Looks like our race director, Sam Maxwell, taking an extra lap for these drivers to get their running order sorted out. We want a clean restart. We cannot stress that enough. So making sure those drivers know where they should be slotted is important. So Sam Maxwell taking an extra lap just to make sure that we get things right here, headed into a nail-biting finish here at Bristol. If you're joining us, we've had several incidents tonight, but it's all going to come down to this final restart. Chase Berry is on the freshest tires, certainly more so than Justin Wilson, but Steve McDonald is looming with similar speed and similar tire wear. So here we go. Pace car getting ready to pull off for hopefully the final time tonight here at Bristol. Chase Berry is going to lead the field into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back underway. We are racing for 2 more laps here at Bristol. Berry gets a nice start, a nice jump on the 58 of Justin Wilson. Steve McDonald really hung up right now with Jacob Bradley to his outside, working the inside right now. First 2 are single file. All Chase Berry has to do is take the white flag.
Oh,
He's
Steve
taking
McDonald.
Steve McDonald and Jacob Bradley. Heavy contact forcing McDonald down there, but no one's going to have anything for Chase Berry. The driver from the Sunshine State of Florida is seeing sunshine tonight for the first time this season. Chase Berry is the winner at Bristol. Wesley Pistol sideways across the line. Wilson going to finish second. Jacob Bradley, his Payday Racing teammate, is scored with the final third place podium finish. Chris, that was a wild sequence of events to get to where we were, but Chase Berry going to do some burnouts on the front stretch, claiming his first win of the season, and we've had 3 separate different winners in the first 3 races of the Apex Energy Series for Slingshot Racing League. We're going to hear from the drivers who finished the top 3 in the moment, but we can see several drivers doing some burnouts down there, Payday teammates. It's a Payday 1, 2, and 3 finish, Chris. They're going to probably boost their lead in the team championship standings.
Yeah, absolutely. As Chase Berry does his customary backwards victory lap. Nobody else does it but Chase. And if you know Chase, if you are not familiar with Chase, I guess I should say, you'll get a sense of his personality here in just a second when we pull him into the booth for his interview.
Absolutely. We're going to pull in Jacob Bradley and hear from him. He is your third place finisher tonight. Jacob Bradley, driver of the number 60 car. This is Ellis Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, man. Well, it was a wild and crazy race. We had moments of calm. We had moments of stress and anxiety and wild, aggressive driving, but you wound up bringing it home third. I know you probably would have preferred a little bit better on the evening, but walk us through kind of your experience over the course of the night. What did you find to be the biggest struggle?
It was just kind of figuring out how the runs were going to go. We obviously anticipated a lot of cautions, and then we actually went green for quite a while. We were a little bit surprised, so then we had to balance out a little bit of tire saving with a little bit of running quick. And Chase picked the right strategy there, and he pulled away at the end.
Man, talk to us just briefly about your approach to saving tires tonight over the course of the longer run.
I just really backed up the entry and backed up the center. You saw a lot of people early in the race, like Evan and Patrick, get up to me, and Justin. We were just kind of checking them up in the center. We were saving a lot of right rear doing that, and it just kind of worked out over long runs. We weren't able to get a really, really long run to see it, except for maybe that run right before Chase pit. And we were all top 5 at that point.
All right, man. Well, hey, good run tonight. Before we let you go, you got any shout-outs to fans or family?
Hey, I want to shout out my family for watching, Pay Racing, can have a better team behind me. You guys for doing the broadcast, and all the Slingshot sponsors.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you, and go and celebrate with your Payday Racing teammates.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so you heard from the driver, the number 60, Jacob Bradley, your third place finisher tonight. We're going to bring in our second place finisher, Justin Wilson. And Chris, I'm going to let you take it away.
Justin Wilson, driver of that Margaritaville Chevrolet at Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Of course I man. Of course I do.
Hey, man, great run tonight. We saw you earlier in the race have a little bit of a sketchy moment with your teammate, Jacob Bradley. You had us all up on the edge of our seat. We saw you sideways on entry to the corner one time, too. Talk us about your night. It sure did look eventful.
It was definitely eventful. I was trying to be cautious and generous, but the aggressiveness around me was definitely paying its toll. Got lucky there. I mean, with Jacob, we were good, but that one incident where I don't remember who it was, got loose on the top and hooked me into towards the outside wall. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I don't know how on earth I reacted so fast to straighten that thing back out, but somehow we did. But
I thought you were donezo. After that.
I mean, so did I. After it happened, I had to blink and take a breath because I think I just froze. Was somehow reactive. I reacted to it subconsciously somehow because it just didn't even think about it. But aside from that, I mean, we had a little bit of damage. The handle in the car kind of went a little bit, but biggest thing was we got a good finish for the team. I convinced Chase to pit. And I should have pitted myself. I thought about it, but hey, all in all, I'm good. Third place last week, second place this week. You know what that means I'm gonna be next week.
Heck yeah, that's right. Man, yeah, it was a crazy save. We thought that you were done. Talk to us a little bit about, like, did the cars feel, really edgy tonight? And if they did early in the race, is that something that improved later on as the race progressed?
No, I think as the race progressed, everybody kind of got a feel for the car. I mean, for me, it was really loose on entry if you tried to overdrive it. But if you were really cautious, did your braking early, let the car roll in. It was stable as can be, and you can run pretty much bottom, middle, top, and be just as fast as anybody else. It was just a matter of you know throttling yourself back and not trying to be aggressive. This is one of those tracks where aggression won't get you nowhere. It's actually smooth and being consistent. That's where the lap times and that's where the good places come from.
Well, man, you did awesome all night. You gave us some highlights. You made the highlight reel for sure. You had a great second place run. Any shout outs that you want to give before we let you go?
Oh man, I just want to thank you guys for letting me come back. It's been good since taking that year off, coming back to this. It's been refreshing. And welcomed, and I'm enjoying it. Thank the Payday Racing team. I think we all had a great finish. It just sucks that Randy got caught up in that last one, but we were all running up front, and you can't ask for a better performance from the team.
Hey, man, you did great all night. Had a great run. That's Justin Wilson, your second place finisher tonight. Congratulations, bud.
Yeah, take over, man.
All right, so now it is time to hear from the man of the evening, the winner, Chase Berry, scoring his first win of the season. Chase Berry, driver the number 17. This is Ellison Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy.
Yes.
Congratulations. It's been a long time coming. It's good to see you back in victory lane in a very awesome looking paint scheme, if I do say so. Man, it was a wild evening. We talked about it all night long. So we know we had that track blocking incident at the beginning or at the end of the race, but so many incidents tonight were there single car incidents or incidents that almost happened but never did. The aggression certainly amped up over the course of the evening. We know that you were one of the biggest movers of the race. You moved up 31 positions. You started 36, almost tail end of the field towards the back. Talk us through that strategy, why you made that choice. I think it's obvious at this point, but how you managed to navigate your way through the field and stay out of the trouble that was popping up throughout the race.
Well, I tried to qualify, and I honestly stepped on it like I normally do in qualifying, and I spun. So like, all right, well, I guess starting at the back. So then just being patient. I actually finished the race with 0x, so that was surprising to me also. But I was just being patient. If everybody ran the top, run the bottom. If everybody ran the bottom, still run the bottom. But I just being patient mostly.
Man, towards the end of the race, you made that decision to put yourself back in the field a little bit. You elected to come and take a set of tires. We know it paid off, but, as we were going through some green flag racing, I think you took a little bit less time to catch the leaders than we thought you would. But what were you thinking as you were kind of coming up through the field? Were you confident in your ability to catch Jacob Bradley and Justin Wilson in the lead and get out there in front?
No, not at all. I took tires. Justin was like, "Oh man, I'm kind of thinking about taking tires here." He's like, "Man, but he doesn't want to get back in fact." I was like, "Well, screw it, I'll go." So I took tires, and I knew I came out behind the 88, but I knew Patrick, the 9, was with me on the same set. Like we all both took 4, came out ahead of me. So I knew it was kind of like a race between me and him, who could get through the traffic first. So I kind of raced him like a meanie. But it was so just dealing with traffic, like basically just yelling. I feel bad for Justin and all them guys, because I'm yelling like, move, get out the way, move. But it's just me getting bent out of shape for no reason. But yeah, I mean just
go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to, like I said, be patient. 'Cause like I said, we still had 30 to go, and I knew once we got 15 to go, 20, like 10 to go, like I was like, okay, it's just Justin, Jacob, Johnny. I was like, all right, we're good. And I know, like I said, we all run together, so I knew they knew I was on freshies, so they knew they wasn't gonna door slam me or something. They were gonna race me clean.
Yeah, man, it was a great performance tonight. Seeing you work your way up through the field like a true pro. I can't believe you had 0x. Definitely the most impressive performance of the evening with that 0x. I think everyone had contact, but man, congratulations getting that payday car up front and in the lead and winning the race ultimately. Got any shout outs before we let you go tonight? Any shout outs for sponsors, fans, family?
Yeah. Thank you guys for putting it on. I mean, it's been fun, and I actually do want to give a shout out to the field. Like, I mean, we had wrecks and stuff, but overall, like, I mean, not trying to. I mean, it came through the field, so like, there's a lot of clean cars. Like, there's a lot more clean cars than I figured there was going to be. So, like, definitely good job for everybody. Kudos to them, and thank you for all the teammates and listening to me complain and gripe the whole freaking week and being 2 seconds slower than everybody. But hey. Is what it is, because it's tire strategy, boy. You know me, tires.
Absolutely. Well, man, congratulations. The tire saving finally paid off this season. Win number 1 of what might be more. We'll be keeping an eye on the driver of that 17. You never know. Don't sell yourself short, my friend. It's going to move you up in the standings. That is for sure. Chase Berry, winner of tonight's Apex Energy Series race here at Bristol in the Pearce Designs Bristol Night Race. Chase, have a good evening. Go celebrate with your friends.
Thank you. Y'all too.
Thank you. All right, Chris, man, that race had all the makings of a thriller. We saw great racing. We definitely saw some aggressive racing. We saw plenty of mistakes tonight. It's Bristol. These things come along with the territory. But overall, we saw a lot of drivers cut each other breaks early on in the race. I think that was one of the stories of the race for me, is seeing how many near misses we had at a really tough track, really tough cars, a big field. A lot of drivers did a really good job tonight. Just looking through the final running order, a lot of shout-outs to guys. Obviously, we've talked to the top 3. Steve McDonald, fourth place finish in a row. Rye Jones brings it home 5th. Chris, Wesley Pistol, he had several incidents on the night. Most of it not his fault. Works his way up to 6th and sticks it out for a top 6 finish. Johnny Rapp saw his, share of trouble this evening. Finishes 7th. Daniel Berg. This is his best finish of the season. It's one of his best finishes since racing with Slingshot Racing League. 8th. I know we've got some Kyle Dewey fans in the chat. Kyle worked his way through adversity tonight, finishing 9th. And then Christopher Campbell. I know we had a Chris Campbell fan in the chat. Great job with that top 10. Tony Caputo in the 11th position. Lots of guys, Chris, might not have had speed that was at the top of the field out all night long. Sorry, but they stuck with it.
Yeah,
they
definitely
stuck it out, and they pushed through. And we saw that from several guys who really came out of here with pretty good finishes tonight.
Yeah, I want to give a special shout out to some of those guys there at the back half of the top 10. Daniel Berg, Kyle Dewey. I'm going to give Kyle Dewey a shout out because he showed up to that practice race that we did on Sunday night and saw a lot of improvement with him. He rebounded from some trouble. And Chris Campbell starting 41st on the field, gaining 31 spots to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely great run for a lot of these guys. Lots of big movers over the course of the evening, whether it was Chase Berry, your winner, as you mentioned, Christopher Campbell and Kyle Dewey, as well as Nick DeCesare, Patrick O'Toole in 13th. Patrick Colby we saw with that late race incident dropping to 14th. Lee Campbell, another solid top 15 finish. He moved up from 39th starting spot tonight, Chris. So really impressive run by a lot of these guys. If you look further down the running order, we're talking about several guys who got involved in one of those several incidents at some point or another over the course of the evening. So they're going to be looking for a better performance next week, and we head into a completely different track next week at Montreal. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is a road course. It's our first of 2 road course races on the season, Chris. We expect it to be treacherous, but in a much different way. So these drivers are going to have to shift gears. They're going to have to shift mindsets. And when we look at the Montreal circuit, we're talking about one of the most beloved circuits, certainly in motorsports, but it's never failed to put on a good Xfinity Series race. So you looking forward to that one?
Absolutely. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is a great track. It's sort of like a hybrid street circuit road course. It's a great track. I'm hoping that we'll see it in real life on the Cup schedule here, maybe possibly next year. So yeah, I'm really excited about its addition to our Apex Energy Series schedule this season. I think it's going to put on a great show. I think you're going to see Chase Berry possibly want to make it 2 in a row. Chase is a great road course racer, but we got a lot of great road course racers in this league. Evan Pienta is going to be fast next week. Justin Wilson will be fast. Randy Bechtel will be fast. And maybe even some surprises as well. Some people that we don't know are great road course racers show up ready to play next week.
Absolutely. We're going to be looking forward to that. You can join us at the same time next Tuesday. 8:20 is when we'll go live Eastern time for the pre-race show and to get things gridded up for race number 4 of the Apex Energy season. Chris, it was a wonderful evening. I know we are going to have a lot of stuff to talk about throughout the week as we look forward to Montreal. Everyone who joined us in the chat tonight, you are the ones who make all this possible. So whether you're watching live on YouTube, whether you're watching the replay, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps us build our channel and get the drivers that you root for every week more eyes. So appreciate everyone in the chat. It's been a great evening, and until next Tuesday, I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth by Chris Smith. It's been a pleasure, everybody.